Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. It's Super Bowl week, so it's the super time to talk to our super friend Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network, who's hanging out at the Vegas Strip. Mike, how's Super Bowl week going for you so far?
Just got here today, getting ready to go, Jay. It's actually my first time in the city of Las Vegas, 43 years on this earth. I have never been here, so Super Bowl and Vegas combining. I don't know what's in store for me for the next couple of days, but I'm sure I'm going to leave exhausted.
I'm concerned that this may be the last time we talk to you, so let's make it count. The big game's 4 days away. There are still some injury concerns on both sides. What's the latest health-wise for both these teams, Mike? And that dreaded UNLV practice field, did it make any difference in the way the Niners had to prepare?
You know, the Niners behind the scenes not happy with it. The NFL Players Association, they had a press conference today. They have one every year at the Super Bowl. And they made it clear that they're not happy because they want the playing surfaces on Sundays to be better. So for this to be happening during Super Bowl week, not happy because they had that artificial turf and then they had the natural grass and another layer laid on top of it. So it was a little softer than they would have preferred. But Kyle Shanahan, see, I said behind the scenes they're not happy, but in front of the cameras, Kyle Shanahan not making any excuses because he doesn't want to make any for his players. So they were going out there saying, well, let's keep an eye on our injured guys like George Kittle with that toe injury. He is going to play. He did not have any game status, as well as Eric Armstead, the defensive lineman. When they released the injury report during the bye week, game status being you'd either be questionable or doubtful, wasn't listed at all. So everybody fully expected George Kittle and Eric Armstead and everybody else that's available to be ready to play here. So that is the expectation. And so far, so good on that UNLV practice field. The expectation is he should be fine throughout the rest of the week. On the Chiefs side, they've got Joe Thuney, their guard, who is dealing with that pectoral injury. Yeah, during the season, probably at this point would have surgery, but it's the Super Bowl, so you try everything you possibly can do. We'll see. Andy Reid said it would be a long shot for him to play. Then there's Jerick McKinnon, the running back. He is just coming off core muscle surgery just a couple of weeks ago. It would be quite the leap for him to play at this point. But again, it's the Super Bowl. There's nothing after it. Might even be the last game that McKinnon plays in his NFL career. So he's going to try everything he possibly can to play.
And if the Chiefs were to win, Mike, they'd be the first repeat champs since the Patriots almost 20 years ago. The Niners looking for their first Super Bowl win since '95. So when you personally look at the game, what are the matchups that you're most intrigued by?
I love the coaching matchups in this game, and I love them particularly with Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, whose guys have been gushing about him for weeks now. I'm surprised he didn't even get a head coaching interview, wearing those shirts that say, "In Spags We Trust," for the Kansas City defensive coordinator, and the job that he has done this year going up against Kyle Shanahan. And I kind of selfishly want the Niners, I don't care who wins, but I want the Niners to have a lead in the fourth quarter because twice now in the Super Bowl, once as an offensive coordinator, once as the head coach of the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan has been unable to hold on to that lead. So I want to see if he's learned any lessons and wants to be a little bit more aggressive, or maybe he wants to play it more conservatively. And let's see how Spags matches up against that, because he's been able to dial up things all year that I've heard from offensive coaches tipping their cap to Spags, because he's known as a blitz guy, but he's also shown the ability to come out of that, say, hey, you know, you think we're going to come after you, we're going to show that blitz and then come out of it and then make you read that, Brock Purdy. Let's see how that goes. Spags has done a fantastic job this year, and let's see how he does against Kyle Shanahan.
Mike, speaking of coaches, you know, since you and I last talked, all the head coaching vacancies have now been filled, and when the dust settled, Bill Belichick was left without a job. Now, Tom Brady was surprised about that. Yeah. Was that so much of a surprise around the NFL?
It was, and there was a lot of momentum for him to get that job in Atlanta. Now, he interviewed with Arthur Blank, and then if you notice, Arthur Blank was not at the press conference the other day for medical reasons. He's recovering right now from a medical procedure, is what the Falcons have said. It happened in the middle of the interview process, and that sort of slowed the momentum because Blank was the one who interviewed Belichick solo the first time around. Then everybody else was brought in, and I feel like that stalled the momentum a little bit. And in the end, the Falcons made the decision to go with Raheem Morris. It was like after that first interview, everybody that Belichick had kind of worked with, and my understanding was there were coaches that were going to come out of retirement potentially. Ivan Fears, the running backs coach, Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line coach, who was in communication with Belichick or Belichick was in communication with those two. So there was momentum, and then all of a sudden it just hit the brakes. So that was the surprising one. It looked like everything was moving forward with Atlanta. So Belichick becomes the hot head coaching candidate for 2025. For now, really curious to see what he's going to do in 24. I'd imagine he'll be around the game in some capacity.
Mike, we're going to finish with this. From one big game to another, big news this week about a different big game. How excited are you, Mike Garafolo, that the World Cup final will be played in your backyard in New Jersey?
Listen, I'm like 10 minutes from the stadium. Whoever wants to rent my house out, start making the bids right now. I think I'm going to do it from a business standpoint rather than just stay home and get the ticket. You know what? No, I'm going to try for the tickets myself. I sent something to one of my Giants folks immediately. As soon as it was announced, I said, I'll take 2 in the lower bowl, please. And I was laughed at. So I don't think my chances are very good of getting tickets, Jay. I'll let you know, though.
Well, I like your chances of being at the stadium for the Super Bowl this Sunday. So I hope you enjoy the American football, Mike. Enjoy this week. And if you survive your first week in Vegas, we'll talk to you Monday on the show, and we'll recap everything. Sound good?
If I survive it, I'm going to plan another week out here without work responsibilities, and you're going to come with me, Jay.
Jeez, that sounds fantastic. Then they'll truly never hear from either of us again.
I think they'll be okay.
And don't forget, right after the Super Bowl this Sunday, our show, and I mean, look at the cast of characters joining us. Jesse Palmer, Dave Naylor, James Duthie, Kara Wagland, Luke Wilson, Farhan Lalji, Ches, and more. It's all coming up this Sunday after the Super Bowl.